And today, in our today's lesson, or in our today's substanda, we are going to learn about area by counting squares. Can you say area by counting squares?
Area by counting squares.
Area by counting squares.
Area by counting squares.
So, we first look at area. What is area? What is area? Yeah, area is just a surface covered by either an object or a given shape. For example, this one is a book. This is a book. When we put it here on the desk, we have got this space that has been occupied by this book. So this space, we call it a area. The surface that has been occupied by this book is what we call area. We can have this back here. When we place this back on this desk, have you seen it? Yes. Before we place this back on the desk was empty. Now that we place this back on this desk, we have got the space that has been occupied. This space, we now call it area. The space that has been occupied by this back is what we call area. The surface that has been occupied by this back is what we call area. So, we are now looking at area by counting squares. We now want to look at the squares that are going to occupy a bigger square. So, for example, you can be given this square here. This is a square. So, in this square, they draw for you small squares. This is a big square. In this big square, we are going to draw smaller squares like these. So, I now want us to tell the area that has been covered by these small squares. And we are going to tell the area by simply counting the number of small squares in this big square. This one is a big square. In this big square, we have drawn smaller squares. So, we want to know the area that is occupied by these smaller squares. And we are going to know that by doing what? By counting. So, who is going to count for us? Who is going to count for us the area? Elias, can you go and do that? What have you gotten? Yeah. Elias has counted the smaller squares and he has given us the numbers of the smaller squares. He has counted them and there are 16 squares. So, remember, area is measured in square units. Area is measured in square units. So, when you are giving out your answer should be in square units. So, you write 16 square units. 16 square units. So, we are simply looking for the area of smaller squares by counting the squares. Here is another one. We now want to look at the area that has been occupied by the square by looking at the area that has been occupied, whether it is a smaller or bigger area. So we want to look at the surface occupied. Is it small or bigger? And we want to start by looking at the bigger surface area that has been occupied by squares. So we want to count the squares that seem to be occupying a big space. occupying the big surface. That's what I want us to do today. Have you heard? So, somebody is going to count for me, and when you are counting, remember, we want to pick out the squares that are occupying a big surface area. And we are going to do that by counting. Girls, by doing what? So, Asha is going to do for us the first one. Then we have got somebody else. Munir, my best friend. We are going to do another one. Have you heard? Boys, are you okay with Munir? Yes, good. Munir is a good boy. So, so we have that one. We have that one. B. So here we are simply going to do it to give out the surface that has been occupied in a big or a small. So we are going to choose the square that are occupying a big surface and the one that I've drawn for you the squares. One of them is occupying a large surface area. Another one is occupying a small surface area. So we are going to choose to see which squares are occupying a big surface area by counting. We have those ones there. Let's just leave it that way. I just want us to count and see which squares are occupying a big surface area. We want to see which squares are occupying a big surface area. And we are going to know that by simply counting the number of squares. And remember we have said that squares area is usually measured in square units. So, who is going to do for us the first one? We have A, we have B, we have C. So who's going to count for us? We have got A and B. We have got A and B. And between A and B, we want to count and see which one is occupying a big surface area. Which one is occupying a big surface area? So I want us to do that. Aisha, come and do for us the first one. Come and count for us. So you are going to count both the squares, then you tell us. You pick on which one, come. You pick on which one is holding or which one is occupying a big surface area. You have to show us by counting. You have not counted. We have not seen what you have done. Has she counted? Has she counted? No, you are just waiting for us an answer, but we don't know we have gotten the answer. Count for us first. We see what you are doing. Who can assist Aisha? Who can assist Aisha in doing that? Come. I just want you to count and tell us which one is occupying a large or a big surface area. Only that. You write for us, then you write for us with how many squares. Nitakunyorosha. Come and assist Aisha. Come. Can you come? Or you are ready? Come and assist. Can you sit down? Kuja umsaidie. Aisha. Wow. Can you come? Come and assist Aisha. Aisha cannot count for us. That's the square that are holding big surface area. Can you take the chalk? Chukua chalk mfanya. Fanya sabu. Aisha, can you sit? Just count the number of squares and you tell us which squares are holding the big surface area. Do it. It covers a bigger area by how many squares? You have not told us the number of squares. Yeah. She has told us that A covers a bigger area by how many squares? 3 squares. Square. It covers a bigger area by 3 square units. Have you seen A? Let us count the numbers that is being occupied by A.
1, 2, 3.
Good. Let us count the ones that are being occupied by B.
1, 2.
So which ones are many? A. The squares in A are many. So we say that A is occupying a large surface area by how many squares? By 3 square units. It is occupying a large or it is covering a bigger area by 3 square units. Let us look at B. Who is going to do for us B? B, who is going to do for us B? B. Can you come? Can you hurry? Come. count for us. Good. So look at the board. We want to see whether he has done for us is right or wrong. So look here. We now want to count the squares in B and the squares in A and C. Which one is covering a big surface area? So let us count the ones in B and see the number. Let us start.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Good. Those are 7 squares. Let us count the ones in A and C.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah. So which ones are holding a bigger surface area? It is B. By how many squares?
7.
Yeah. B is covering a big area by 7 square units. Remember I told you that squares are usually measured in square units. When you are looking for area is usually measured in square units. When you are giving out your answer, you should make sure that you have written square units. Have you heard? So, in B, we were able to count the squares and we were able to see that A covered a large or a bigger surface area by how many squares? By 3 square units. Then in B, we have seen that B is covering a large surface area by 7 square units. So we have the next sum. Who is going to do for us that one? Who is going to do for us the next? Who will do that? Elias, will you try? No. Elias did the first one. Aisha, you want to retry again? Come on, do. Is Aziza in class? I have this one. Good girl. Can you clap for her? Yeah. So we are looking at C. Let us go through and see whether what she has done, whether it's right or wrong. So we are looking at the one that is holding or covering a big surface area. So let us count the ones in A and see their numbers. Let us start.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Good. Let us count the ones in B.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4.
There are 4. So, which one is holding or covering a large surface area? The one in A. With how many squares? Yeah, it is covering a bigger area by 12 square units. 12 square units. So, what we have learned today, we are just looking at A, area, and we have said that area is the surface covered by an object or a given shape. That surface covered by an object or a given shape, we call it area. So, we have looked at area by counting the number of squares in a bigger square. And we have seen the one that is covering a bigger surface area, and the one that is covering a smaller surface area by counting the number of squares in a bigger square.